Pretty certain everything that I'm telling you is correct, but if you know otherwise, then please do correct me. But as far as I know, and as we were trained, then this is the correct information. But as always, if you're not too sure, go back and check with your own consultant. So, misconception number one. You have to have your 1/3 speed. So this is a recommendation. It's not a rule. Slimming World isn't a diet. You don't have to stick to certain rules. I've always said to my members that it's actually more important that you try and fit Slimming World into your life rather than fitting your life around Slimming World. Does that make sense? So if you absolutely hate the majority of speed foods, but you're trying to force yourself to have 1/3 with every single meal, you're probably not going to stick to it for very long. It's about embracing it and making it a way of life. And if you do enjoy speed food, great. Then yes, have the 1/3 speed food. The reason why it is a recommendation, and it is a strong, a very strong recommendation, is because, in theory, you'll lose more weight. So speed foods are naturally lower in energy density, so they've got less calories in than free food. So although free foods are high satiety, fairly low calorie in terms of the grams that you're getting foods, if you just eat them versus putting the speed on the plate, then it will be probably likely that you're going to consume more calories. So having the 1/3 is a recommendation, but it's not a rule. You don't have to do it. So no speed needed with healthy extra Bs. So a lot of people get told that you have to have speed food with healthy extras. This is actually incorrect. You don't have to have speed food with a healthy extra. A healthy extra is already pre-weighed or measured, therefore the chances of overeating it are 0. So you're already given an amount, so for example 40 grams of porridge, therefore you'll eat that 40 grams of porridge, great, happy days. You can't go and eat like 500 grams of porridge because it's a weighed amount, therefore you don't have to put speed with it. But if you did, you might find that you're fuller for longer. So if I just set porridge on its own, I'll be starving. If I had it with blueberries, strawberries, apple, whatever, it'll keep me feeling fuller for longer. So, if you're having toast or a sandwich or anything like that, you don't have to have speed food, but you might find that you're more full if you do. You have to have healthy extras. Wrong. You don't have to have them. Healthy extras are there for your health. So A choices are going to give you calcium, which is obviously good for bones, etc. And B choices are going to give you fibre, and you all know why you need fibre in your life. So they are important, but you don't have to have them. It won't affect your weight loss if you don't eat healthy extras. The only way you might come a bit unstuck is that if you're not getting enough fibre in your life, then that might cause you problems. But yeah, you don't have to have them. So don't force yourself to be having 2 A's and 1 B if you don't want them. You could have 1 A and 1 B if you want, or you could have none. It is your choice. You can't split healthy extras. When I was on board, which was not that long ago, it was this year, well, no, it wasn't this year now because we were in 2020, it was last year. Yes, you could still split healthy extras, and that's always been the case. This is a very common myth that, yeah, let's put it to bed. So for example, if you wanted to have 1 slice of whatever healthy extra bread and 1 hi-fi bar, if the allowance was 2 hi-fi bars and 2 slices of bread, then yeah, you can have 1 of each, that's fine. Same with milk. If you don't need to do it now there's 2 A's, you probably wouldn't need to do it, but say you wanted half the amount of milk and half the amount of cheese, that's fine too. The only thing Slimming World used to say was that if you do choose to split healthy extras, then the symbols like F or whatever, C, won't qualify because they don't know for a fact then how much fibre you're actually getting in what you're eating, so they can't therefore qualify it as an F or a C. It doesn't really make any difference to you as a member really. So yeah, if you want a half and half, that's totally cool. Peas, grapes, cherries and sweet corn, don't bother eating them because they're not speed. I eat grapes, I eat peas, I eat sweet corn. I don't like cherries. I love cherry flavoured stuff, but I don't like cherries. So yeah, they're not speed, correct, and some people do think they're speed and they're not. However, you're perfectly fine to still eat them. The next one, Fever Tree tonic is free. So I'm just going to prove this on the app actually. So Fever Tree tonic, my members used to like gasp in horror when I used to say it's not free, but honestly it doesn't matter. To be honest, it's nicer, isn't it, than a lot of the other let's get it up, a lot of the other slimline tonics. A lot of slimline tonics I find are horrid, but the Fever Tree one, let's find it. The light tonic water, 150 millilitres is 1 syn. So that's like the can. A 200 millilitre bottle is 1.5 syns. A 500 millilitre bottle is 4 syns. So no, it's not free. So when you're having your G&Ts out and about, if they do serve Fever Tree, then you might be under-sinning. So yeah, just be sure that you're checking that, but it's worth it in my opinion. Your weight will be made public? Absolutely not. And if that ever happens, you must let Slimming World know, because they would be really upset. It is one of their really important, you know, uniques to their formula of success. So your actual weight would never ever ever be disclosed, and if that's something you're worried about, or if that's preventing you from joining, then hopefully that just puts your mind at rest. No, categorically not. People did used to mention weight gains. As a consultant, I didn't, and at the time it was trained that you were to mention them, because there's no shame in a gain. So the psychology was, why dust it under the carpet? Then it becomes like it's something you should feel ashamed of, etc, etc. But I used to find if people gained, they'd be out the door. You know, I would never make them feel bad for gaining. The opposite, I would try and support them and encourage them to turn their week around, or if they knew why, that's cool, just draw a line under it and we'll move on. But for me personally, if someone read out that I'd gained like £2, I wouldn't really like it. If I chose to say it, then that's okay, but I wouldn't want someone to say it for me. They did change that. I don't know whether this is all filtered through all of the groups yet, but they did change it that they would no longer disclose actual amounts. So I don't talk about your weight, and most groups now, I would imagine, don't talk about how much you've gained either. And if you don't want that mention that you've gained at all you need to do is give the consultant a heads up and they won't even mention it. Tweaks. So I get asked, I've got a whole separate video on tweaks, so I'll tell you what, go and watch that. It's a few years old probably now, but the principles are still the same. So things like overnight couscous, turning couscous into porridge and things like that. You know, making making crisps out of lasagna sheets, you know, things like that. Yes, they are tweaks. And the reason they're tweaks is, if you're doing all these weird and wonderful things with free food, you're then probably going to overeat that certain free food, which is more calories, which will affect your weight losses. If you weigh out your healthy extra porridge, that is a measured amount of calories and fibre, therefore you physically cannot overeat it. So a lot of these things that people come up with, they are tweaks. I know for a fact, if I made a huge bowl of like couscous or quinoa porridge or whatever, I would eat and eat and eat it. Whereas if I'm measuring out my oats, I'll just eat my oats. So yes, they are tweaks. How come people can eat, this is a really common one, how come people can eat 10 millilitres but you're not allowed avocado? Guess what? You are allowed avocado. So with the whole millilite thing, Slimming World changed the fact that they're no longer a free food. They actually decided to give them a small syn value, and I totally supported this because I was that person that would go and eat like 5 millilitres. But you know, that's just under 500 calories, so it's a lot of calories, isn't it? That's a meal. So I supported that, and I thought giving it half a syn or 1 syn was a good idea, because then it's more likely to deter people from overeating. You've got to remember that actually we say like eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. I say we, I don't work for them anymore, but I'm still very passionate about Slimming World and I might go back one day. So yeah, that's the reason why they actually stopped giving Muller like the free food allowance. Also, your fat-free like Greek yogurts and things like that are higher in protein, so they'll keep you feeling fuller for longer. In terms of avocado, of course you could have it. I said earlier, it's not a diet. So actually, Slimming World now actively encourage using your syns on more savvy choices. So they call them savvy syns. So there is actually a section in the back of your book, in the syns guide, that says, you know, why not use nuts? Why not use avocado? More smart syn choices. Because the likelihood then of you craving more of that food, because that food, you know, incorporates healthy fats, is a lot lower than if you were to spend your syns on chocolate, cakes and crisps. You're perfectly within your rights to do that, but for some people they'll then crave more. So they prefer to use smart syns, savvy syns, whatever you want to call them, on things like avocado. But if you break it down, avocado is higher in calories than certain foods. Therefore, it has to have a syn value. Yes, it's healthy. Yes, it's amazing. There's so many health benefits for it and benefits to your skin and so on. However, because it's a fat, it's higher in calories per gram than protein, carbohydrate, and so on. So yes, by all means eat it, but do it in measured amounts if you're choosing to lose weight. Hope that answers that one. Okay, so did you know that frozen veg is a speed? This one surprised me. I've never heard this, but she said she saw it on social media recently that frozen veg isn't speed. It is. The calories don't change once you freeze something, so I promise you that that is still speed. If you don't have all your healthy extras, you have to syn it. Nope, that's wrong. You don't have to syn it at all. And I used to hear this a lot, probably about 6 years ago actually, that if you don't have all your healthy extra, you have to syn it. But where's the logic in that? No, you don't. Blended fruit is free. No, it isn't. This is quite a touchy point, isn't it, for a lot of people? But again, I get it. So the calories don't change. So you know that whole like, you know, it'll change the calories if you puree it and blend it. That's completely rubbish. What does happen is that you're then potentially more likely to overconsume, therefore eat more calories. If you turn a load of fruit into a drink and then just knock it back and drink it, you're not going to have the same satiety as if you were eating it in its whole form, and potentially you wouldn't have eaten all that fruit individually if it wasn't blended or pureed. By blending it or pureeing it, you're making it easier to overeat. But saying that, again, if you enjoy it, go for it. And if you're losing weight beautifully still doing it, cool. If not, do what Slimming will advise and choose to syn it, and then that will protect your weight loss. You can eat as much as you want and lose weight. A lot of people find that that is not actually true, and they said, is it true? So I'll explain to you why Slimming World use this kind of like terminology. Free foods are free, but it does always say eat until you're full, or eat until you're satisfied, or stop when you're satisfied. What you're trying to do is get in tune with your own filling power levels. So once you're full, you stop. If you want more free food, then go for it. If you are actually hungry, they're not like literally saying eat all day, all day, all day, all day, never stop, eat whatever you want, as much as you want. Like some consultants might say that, but that's when your kind of like common sense needs to kick in. I think, right, at the end of the day, I'm still trying to lose weight here. However, this is reverse psychology. So the reason a lot of diets don't work is because as soon as you think you can't do something, you're going to want to do it. Therefore, Slimming World are saying, well, hey, come on then, let's just like use our common sense, let's go with the flow, let's not count every single calorie, let's not weigh every single thing, because a lot of people won't be able to live their life like that. So let's just say, right, okay, cool, these healthy, nutritious, filling, satisfying foods, they're fine to eat, like go for it. And what you'll find is if you're doing it properly, so you're having your free food, then ideally, it's a recommendation, remember, having your 1/3 speed, you will naturally be eating less calories anyway, because a meal like fish and chips before Slimming World might have cost you a lot of syns, but if you make that fish and chips the Slimming World way, so with fry light, take the batter off, whatever, that plate of food, you've still got a huge plate of food, but it's a lot lower in calories. So yes, it's free, but be mindful, be, you know, sensible with it. But actually, it should make you feel more relaxed about what you're doing and the fact that you're just eating healthy, you're not dieting. So it's hard to keep off. I lost 3 stone in 3 months, kept it off pretty much for 20 years. So yes, I've fluctuated a bit throughout that time. That's normal. I've had twins in that time as well. You know, throughout your life, your weight might go up and down because of things going on. But overall, if you do it properly, the 3 steps, you should be able to keep it off. Also, carrying on going to group once you're at Target is a good idea. If you've dieted and you've had no sins and you've been really, really strict, then yeah, it might go back on. But for some people, it goes back on more for personal reasons than because Slim and Well failed them. Okay. Also, it's not always about the plan. It's, like I said, it's about that person. So yeah, you absolutely can keep it off. I've got loads of friends that have kept their weight off in real life and on social media, and I also had members that had been at Target for like 15 years. So yeah, you can, but maybe it's to do with how you embrace it. Speed has to be on the plate. So right, if you imagine now that you've got, let's say, I don't know, spaghetti bolognese. So if you've got a plate and you pile loads of pasta on the plate because it's free, and then you put all your bolognese on top, yes, that bolognese might have veg in it. However, if you were then to take all that off and put 1/3 speed on the plate first, so it's physically taking up 1/3 of your plate, the likelihood is then you can fit less of the pasta and less of the bolognese on, therefore you're eating less calories, but you're still feeling full. They look like claws then, don't know why I was doing that with my hands. If, however, you're quite sensible with your portions, so you've got a bit of spaghetti, you've packed that bolognese with speed food. So if that meal was dissected, 1/3 of that overall plate would actually be speed food. Then that's fine, you don't have to have it on the side. For me personally, I'd pack it with speed food and I'd get the speed food on the side because my weight losses would be better that way. If you have speed on the plate. If you have it on the side, then you're going to eat all of that free food and you're going to eat that. So actually, that's not the most logical thing to do if you're trying to lose weight. The best thing to do if you're trying to lose weight is get it on the plate. If you're packing your meals full and it's all good and you're happy, then no, don't worry about it. Pickled veg isn't speed. As far as I know, it is. Beetroot, gherkins, they're still vegetables. They've just been pickled and they are still speed. People don't lose weight because the portions aren't controlled and you're not calorie counting. I think I've answered that in the earlier one. You're not allowed to exercise or lift weights if you do Slimming World. I exercise, I lift weights. You can do it. You're allowed to do whatever you want. I do think, and this is from experience of working for Slimming World for a long time, I do think Body Magic could be a bigger part of the group, and Slimming World think this too, because healthy living as well as healthy eating is really important. So they were always striving to educate and do more training around that subject. I think where Slimming World can get a bad rep sometimes is from a lot of the PTs and stuff, that they hear horror stories that potentially someone that wasn't quite trained effectively in that subject might have told members in the past that the reason they've not lost weight is because they've exercised, or the reason they've not lost weight is because muscle weighs more than fat and all of that. It's not actually the case. Like, you can exercise and you can lift weights if that's what you want to do. You know, getting your own knowledge around like protein and repairing muscle and all of that sort of thing isn't gonna hurt if you do want to lift and you do want to do lots of Body Magic. But at the end of the day, burning more calories and eating less calories is like the perfect combination if you want to lose weight and if you want to lose body fat. Some people have found their losses might be quicker if they're not exercising. That's up to them then if they want to stop. But there's so many health benefits to exercising, and you'll lose inches and not just pounds. So for me, I'd much rather exercise, tone, lose body fat, and then healthy as well. So yes, you absolutely can. Consultants get rewarded or they get bonuses for big weight losses. I've not heard this before. This was something on Facebook apparently. No, that's not true. The only bonus or reward they'll get is their happiness from seeing you be successful. So the only time I can think of where you potentially would be awarded or rewarded is if your member was to win one of the huge national competitions. Then there is a prize amount of money or a holiday for the winner, and the consultants sometimes get like a lesser financial prize. But in terms of like weekly, there's no financial reward for members losing big losses. That's not actually the case at all. In fact, it's only down to attendance. So a consultant gets paid a percentage depending on how many members they've got in their group, and that's paying members. Therefore, what they're actually losing won't come into that. Consultants go on board, they become a consultant because they want to help people and because they're passionate. So them striving to get you better weight losses is just down to their own passion for wanting to help people. So no, there's no financial reward for big losses. You're allowed to save your sins all week and then binge at the weekend. It doesn't say that in the book, does it? If you're doing it and you're losing weight, go for it. But actually the tool is called flexible sins. So if you know you've got a big event coming up, like I had a hen weekend or I've been to London, then by all means, if you want to, save your sins and then have sins at the weekend, and then that's your choice. The danger is with that, you might feel restricted and then you'll binge, and then you go and feel restricted again because you feel guilty for what you've eaten at the weekend, and then you'll binge. So it could be a potentially harmful cycle to get into, but it's your choice. However, in terms of the Slimming World way, it's 0 to 15 sins a day, or you do get more sins. In fact, that could be a misconception. You do get more sins if you're a man, and you get more sins depending on your weight bracket. So there's like up to 16 stone, there's over 16 stone, and then over 20 stone. And then for men, they get extra sins as well on top because they're men and they have bigger muscle mass and they'll burn calories faster and so on. So yes, yes, if you want to do it, but no, that's not the official Slimming World advice. I have to eat even if I'm not hungry. No, that's so not true. And if you've been told that, then yeah, that's a real shame. And they're only trying to help. If you have been told that, they're only trying to help and they only have your best interest, you know, at the heart of what they're saying. But no, that's not true. You don't have to eat. If you don't eat, then you might potentially become hungry and then end up binging, or it could potentially affect your metabolism, but that would take a while to happen. So no, you don't have to eat to lose weight. But if you don't, then yeah, it's just not going to be healthy, is it really? If we don't want people starving, but you don't have to eat when you're not hungry. If you're not hungry, great, listen to your body. Don't eat if you don't want to. Okay, so that is pretty much, well, that is all of them that I've been given to answer. So has any of them surprised you? Any of them a revelation? Did you already know all of those? I'll be interested to hear your thoughts below. And although I don't officially work for Slimming World anymore, like I say, I'm just trying to help people. So if you think this would benefit any of your friends, then please do feel free to share it. The link is just down below. You can share it wherever you like. So I hope that's been useful. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.